Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today me and a good friend who is on the YouTubes, and please welcome Mr. El Toro Cards. Jason, how are we doing?
I'm doing all good. How are you, Ron?
Yeah, very good. I think today's quest is trying to work out which was the best set from 2021. 2022 is going to be a bundle of fun, and I thought I'd bring along a Spanish expert because there's one Spanish set and he'll be able to say the set properly. So should we get into this and see if we can actually crown what is the best set from last year?
Yeah, there's going to be some headbutting on this topics. Oh, here we go. So it's going to be a good one. Let's go.
So actually, well, we start off with the top one, though. So
Yeah.
Elite versus Donruss. See, I think this is a walk in the park, this one. No disrespect to Elite. It's a good set. It's a cheaper set, but I think Donruss is absolutely clear.
To be honest, I don't really know much about the Elite set. Obviously, I know it's like Score, so you can obviously it's a cheap rip, pop count really high, but yeah, Donruss walk in the park. Yeah. Easy dub for that.
Right, we should end the video now because we've actually agreed on something. Whereas it's not going to be as easy.
This is going to be hard.
The next one is the England set, which I actually have, funny enough, sitting right here. Versus the Futera Unique World. This is a tricky one.
It's a hard one, I think, because the England set, you can pick up from Game, I believe. So it's cheap, another cheap set that you can pick up. You can get autos like, I think, David Beckham, Gary Lineker, Futera, massive. So I think some people torn a bit on Futera. Some people love it, some people hate it. A bit like Mustard, a bit Marmite as well. But I don't know. I think Futera, it's just the price point that puts me off a bit.
Yeah, but on the contrary, I opened one of the England sets. It was after a London card show in the
I remember.
And it is the worst design set in my life. That you have the base set, which are all together in literally like a cardboard band, and the two parallels are just sitting on the bottom underneath, which I didn't know. So you open it and you go, "Oh, there's the."
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I think probably on this one we'll probably go for maybe Futera.
I think Futera, and I'm looking at the advancement after that, and I'm thinking its journey might be ending. This round anyway. So
we'll give it a bit of hope. We'll go for give a bit of hope.
Up next, this is a bit of a Clash of the Titans. This one, this was so before anyone. This was randomized because I thought hopefully there'd be some tricky ones. There's going to be some easy ones. Chronicles versus Obsidian. This is actually two.
Yeah,
I would personally say these are two of like some potentially would make in my top 5-6 sets of the year altogether. So to meet in the first round, there's going to be an upset.
Yeah, I think
it's a trick.
I think Topps Chrome 2021-2022 does include one of the players I do invest in, so I might be a bit. Well, it actually contains both, so he's both in the set, but I'm very heavy on the Chronicles. It's got Yeremy Pino including one of these cards. So, so XI out of 5. But you can't go wrong with Chronicles. But I admit this year's Chronicles compared to others, I think it's a letdown.
Yeah, but I think with Obsidian, there was a load of hype around it. You had the brilliant. I think the main thing everyone was chasing was the Color Blast at first. However, the only downside I would say to this set, with the Color Blast especially, is that they're very high print run.
Yes.
If they were like the few years ago, like Bukayo Saka's one, there was like a print run of like 25. These are in the hundreds. But you have really nice parallels. You have like the green floods, you have the blue floods, the red floods. This is what it's a tricky one, but it might upset a few people, but I'm siding towards Chronicles just for the sole thing of the different stuff you can get in it. Like obviously you've got the cracked ice, you've got the 101, but then you've got XR, you've got rookie ticket. All right, the rookie tickets are not the best ones, but you've got rated rookies, you've got memorabilia, you've got autos, national treasure. There's just a load of stuff in it. So I think my vote, I think I'm just siding Chronicles, but Obsidian is very unlucky to meet Chronicles in the first round.
I think with Obsidian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 7 cards you can get in a box. 7 cards weighing out, how much cards you can actually get in a box of Chronicles. I think, obviously, if you do get a big hit in Obsidian, you're winning. But I think with Chronicles, rookie tickets, cracked ice, Jeremy Pino himself, I think that has to go in the next spot.
I've got to agree with you here. And up next, it's going to get another good one. We've got Pearl versus World Cup Prism. Pearl was a nice set. I'm going to say I'm not saying a lovely set. However, World Cup Prism, okay, the print run was very high.
Yeah.
But the cards are very nice. And looking at the value of the cards as well, you've got very high print run cards that will do the same as a low numbered Pearl. So for me, I'm not even, no disrespect to Pearl, but for me, it's World Cup Prism.
Yeah, probably the same with that as well. I think with Pearl, I'm not really, I don't think I've ever owned or bought one card or even bought a spot in a break of Pearl. World Cup Prism's World Cup Prism, it's one of the big ones that came out this year, probably the biggest one. One thing that's probably a bit annoying about the World Cup Prism is probably the centering on most of these cards.
Yeah.
They were horrific. I've got a Danny Olmo gold, and it looked like Danny Olmo wanted to escape the card. That's how off-centered it was. But I think World Cup Prism, when the hype was around it, it was probably the biggest set of the year. So I think that has to go, through.
I'm just looking at that's going to be a big clash.
Yeah, Jesus.
Moving on to the next one, we've got National Treasures, obviously, like Road to Qatar versus Deco. I like this year's Deco more than last year's 100%. Deco. I think it's pretty. National Treasures, I think, walks this one. I think Deco. It would have been a closer fight with this year's Deco rather than last year's.
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously you'll probably prefer this year's Decos because of Saliba.
Yeah,
I think so. I think National
Arsenal word just last year's Deco.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. National Treasures. Yeah, I think it's obviously one of the most higher end boxes that you can pick up. I think ranging from like $2,000, I think, or something like that. So it's not obviously a rip that you do every day, but I think it's just popular. Once you hit like an out of 25 Haaland or Messi, you're in the big bucks. So I think that one just walks in the park.
And now this one, I'm going to let you because this is controversial for me because I think this is another clash of the Titans. Premier League Prism versus obviously Premier League Impeccable.
So obviously I don't really collect Premier League cards, so I'm more La Liga side and Spanish players. I think I didn't really hear a lot about Impeccable last year. Well, for me, to be honest. Oh, sorry. I think Panini Prism last year I heard a lot about, but not in a good way. I think it was probably the worst Prism set that got released out of I think the 3 or 4 Prism sets. Yeah. I think the first Prism set that came out amazing. Second one good. Third one, I think this is the third one. It's horrible.
I was going to say it's one of them that both of them carry weight as a name.
Yeah, Prism in basketball or in American football. There, that's the one you want to get, the 1 of 1. You low numbered him, but I don't.
I'm going to side with Impeccable for the sole fact of it's got on-card autos.
Yeah, we'll go for that. I think I was probably going to go Prism, but I think not really knowing about the set.
I think that one's really a flip of a coin. Next one though, we've got the PSG Chrome set, which is obviously about 4 houses and about 3 cars. Yeah, and Sapphire. And I think for the sole fact of that, it's Sapphire.
Well, yes, I think Sapphire, obviously, when it came out on tops and everyone was buying boxes, ripping them, they said guaranteed 3 numbered cards, and some of them didn't even get, 1. Yeah. So I think that pushes it back a bit. I think PSG, obviously, being Mbappe's first on-card auto available. Obviously, now he's got many autos coming out, but yeah, I think maybe Topps Chrome edges it a bit just because obviously the price point. I think if you're lucky enough to open a box of, the PSG set, but yeah, I'll probably go for Sapphire 100%.
And then the last one of the first round of this bracket, which is actually quite a tricky one because this is actually 2 good sets. We've got Stadium Club Chrome UEFA, obviously, because there was Europa League in it as well, but Merlin Heritage 97 as well, which I think are 2 very underrated sets. And at the closer end of the bottom end of the price war in terms of you can pick up Merlin for quite cheap and Stadium Club, the parallels are quite cheap as well. For me here, and I think it could be a discrepancy because I know you're a massive fan of Stadium Club Chrome.
Oh.
I just really like Merlin at Heritage 97. So I'm going Merlin Heritage 97. I think there could be a disagreement on the other side.
There is a disagreement. I think Stadium Club, some of the, I think not the last year. I think last year's. I think the first year, amazing. Wow. I think this year that one that came out, I think it's really good. I think obviously my favorite insert is obviously the player I invested in, Jeremy Pino doing the arrow. I think that is just incredible. I think some of the images that you can get. I think even the Bundesliga. I don't know if this includes the Bundesliga Stadium Club.
Yeah, we could just do it in general for Stadium.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I think Stadium Club walks this.
I'm going to give you this one.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep it in the. I'm going to keep this in the bank, and I'm going to have a bypass for something I like it a bit. But I'll give you Stadium Club Chrome on this.
Yeah, I think Stadium Club Chrome, wins it. I think there's no debate on that.
And when we was looking at these brackets, this side is going to be a lot quicker than the first. First up, Mosaic Road to Qatar. Obviously, I know there's some people don't like Mosaic, but it's coming up against Topps Gold, and I think we're both going to agree here that Mosaic walks this one.
Yeah, Topps Gold. I think it's. I'm sorry if you enjoy Topps Gold. Tyson Beck, I think it is. It's trash. I've never bought a card. I will never buy. Okay, I'm not going to say that. Well, I'm actually going to say on camera, I will never buy a card from that set. It's horrible.
You've all heard this here. I will clip this, and I guarantee you, by the end of this year, he'll miraculously.
I'll probably have it.
He's either got one in his case, or he's going to buy one.
Yeah, no, I think I'm a massive, massive fan of Mosaic. Well, Ronnie knows this. Obviously, I'm a massive fan. Just got literally just a card sitting here. It's not obviously an expensive one, but. This is not from the road to I think Qatar, but just look at that. Yeah. Out of 8.
That exact same parallel is in the choice boxes as well.
I think Mosaic is so underrated. I know it's obviously not your Panini Prisms, your bigger sets, impeccable, but honestly, I think it's just so beautiful.
Right, and moving on to the next one. I think this one is 99.9% unanimous, and we're not even going to debate it. Merlin Chrome beats Steve Aoki.
Yeah, the only good thing that Steve Aoki done is music, which is half decent as well. But honestly, I think it's a horrible set. Yeah. The only way I would buy a card if Sergio Ribas was in it, and he is. So,
and then moving on to the next one, which is quite an interesting one. You got SPFL Chrome versus Topps Chrome. Very similar card sets. Obviously, it was nice to see the Scottish League get a set, but for us, Champions League's always going to top the Scottish League.
Yeah, there's no debate in that. I'm sorry about I think they got a new set that released yesterday.
It looks quite nice as well.
It looks really good. I think a George Best insert, which I think is quite cool. But yeah, no, nothing beats Topps Chrome any year.
And then moving on to the next one, we have Topps Japan versus Eminence. And yeah, obviously there's a massive price discrepancy between the two boxes here. We've got a box that costs about 30 quid and one will cost thousands. But for me, Eminence, because ever since Topps Japan went away from the chrome design to the paper, don't care. So Eminence is a top tier set, but I've got a feeling it won't win overall just for the sole fact of how expensive it is. But Eminence to beat Japan.
Yeah, just saying the word Eminence takes £5 out of my bank account. It's an expensive set. I think the Japan, I've got a blaster box or I got a box, open it. It's a fun rip. It's really nice. I think some of the cards are nice, but resale value, there's nothing there. But I think Eminence, hopefully I'll own a card one day of an Eminence, any player. But yeah, it wins 100%.
And I'm going to let you take this one because my Spanish ain't great. But we've got Tier 1 Bundesliga up against the Spanish set of
Simply Calidad. I think it is. I think it is that, yeah.
I think I've got to go for the Spanish set, which a new one has just come out, which has taken forever to be released. But this is it. I think it wins because I actually really like the imagery and the parallels of it being a monotone color scheme.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think with Tier 1, I didn't really hear about it. The only way I found out about it is because a player that I really like called Ika Bravo, he's in Bayer Leverkusen. So obviously he's in that set. I've never seen him being pulled or any cards available on eBay, which is a bit weird. But Simply Calidad, beautiful set. I think some of the image variations, like the colours on it. I think there's a Vinicius Junior out of 5 I saw at London Card Show, and it was red. It was beautiful. I think, it's a cheap set as well. Well, one of the cheapest sets to get, and I think hopefully one day I'll pick up a box set and open it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and another one which is an actual walkover, and anyone who wants to come from this one, I don't care. I welcome DMs. Women's Chrome, in my opinion, the best releases of last year against Jose Mourinho set, which is dreadful. I thought it was a fit card stock, and it feels like a kid has just laminated something in year one. It's that bad.
I don't know if I've got the card next to me, but I bought dreadful. So I bought a few cards. Sergio Ramos, obviously for the PC. I like to pick up Sergio Ramos. So I saw this new set, Jose Mourinho. I was like, okay, I'll buy a few. So I bought the out of 25 and 99. Got the card in hand. I think I was with Ronnie at the time, and I was like, what? It feels so thin. I just bend it like that, and it will just break. I think it's looks wise, one of the best sets. Feel wise, and just quality is disgusting. I think they need to, Mourinho needs to have a word with him because this set is not the special one.
Yeah, as I say, in comparison, Jude Bellingham a million miles above that. And moving on to the last two ties of this bracket, we have Topps Finest versus Topps Inception. And I think this is quite a tricky one because I think Inception is incredible. I would say Inception is probably more of the equivalent of like the Topps Impeccable, so to speak.
Yeah, I think
Finest they're one of the nice, but it's more of an acquired taste.
I think Finest, not from that year. I think from the other years. I would 100% go with that. But Inceptions, I've got a Jeremy Pino and a Jude Bellingham, and they're beautiful. Yeah. Obviously, they're thicker cards, which obviously is harder to grade. But I think, you can probably pick up a cheap spot of maybe Jude Bellingham's second year, Pedri's second year, and enjoy. Yeah, lovely card. The designs are beautiful as well.
And the last one, Revolution from the Museum, which is quite a tricky one because I can't actually decide who I want to go through on this one. Revolution I like, but I've got Teten Gabriel, and you wouldn't realise it was Teten or a base. So the parallels are a bit interesting. And Museum Collection, I suppose you actually do get some nice cards in there. So I'm going to just say Museum Collection is just going to squeak it for me. But
I think, with Revolution,
from a top tier set.
Yeah, it's like as you said. I think I was with you when you said about the Gabriel out of 10. That really annoys me a bit. Yeah. Like if I've got, if I pack pulled or I bought a card and it's out of 5 or 10, I want it to show it's an out of 5 or 10. I want it to be vibrant. I want it to be, something special, not just looking like a base card. I think Topps Museum, I think, is always a good set. Obviously hard to grade as well again, but I think that's a walk in the park for me, to be honest.
And now we move on to the next round. So congratulations,
here we go.
Progress. Obviously, some people have failed who probably could have won on the other side of the bracket, but Inception versus Museum Collection. Obviously, now the rounds will move a bit quicker because we've obviously given up. But I think Inception beats Museum Collection just for self. I think they're nicer cards in general, and I would be more inclined to buy an Inception card than a Museum Collection card.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that all the way.
So collection, well done to Inception. And moving on now to the Spanish versus the women, which is quite intriguing. But for me, personally, I honestly do think the women's Chrome is one of the best releases in the last few years in general, not just alone last year. And I really look forward to a lot more of the women's Chrome stuff. So for me, personally, women's Chrome is going through to the next round.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really watch women's football. But yeah, obviously speaking to Ronnie, I've started to learn a little bit. I still don't watch it, but like learn the players, who are the better players, and just looking at the set, I think it's just beautiful. And I'm being honest, when you send cards to PSA from the women's set, some of them are coming back like PSA 6 and 5, so they're very hard to grade, which obviously most of the sets are. But this one's really weird one. I think if you can get a 10 or even a 9, and this card, it's beautiful.
And then moving on to the next side bracket, which is quite an intriguing one. This is quite a big battle. This one, I'd say. We have Topps Champions League Chrome versus Eminence. And obviously we know there are a lot of beautiful Eminence cards. And on the first visor, there's a lot of really nice Topps Chromes cards. And obviously you're looking at a very different price point here.
Very.
Oh, it's a trick. This one's a trick. This is the first one that I'm a bit...
I think for me, it's just like, for example, me and you, we can't go out, spend, get a box of Eminence. But we obviously... It's easier to get Topps Chrome. I think more for us, availability, I think Topps Chrome maybe goes through.
But then on contrary, if you was going to do a Growl card, a lot of people's Growl cards will be an Eminence of some sort.
Oh, I think mine will probably be as well. But I think, I probably can't argue that.
I was going to say, I was going to put in front of you two cards, I'm trying to think of
one of 1p now.
Say for example, Xavi.
Yeah,
Xavi, which is in Eminence. I'm going to say Xavi on-card auto from Eminence or a from last year, Sergio Ramos, red to 10, chrome.
Oh wow. Well, I think
it's a very tricky. It's a very tricky one, that one. But because he's in the PSG, I've been very sneaky with this question because I've lured him into a certain answer. But I think Eminence will just pip it at the moment for the sole fact of the cards are like growl level and people. I've never heard someone who's like, I don't want an Eminence card in my collection.
Oh mate, I would take an Eminence card if it's a player that I've never heard before. Yeah. You know, if it's got 10 karat gold in the card, I'm taking it. I think I'm probably going to get a bit of hate for trying to choose Chrome, but yeah, I'll go with Eminence.
No, I think Topps Chrome is one of the leading sets. And
I just think because of availability, really, because you know, I know everyone can't buy a box of Topps Chrome. I probably can't as well still, but it's easier to get that. It's easier to go and break. So I remember, you know, you could probably spend about 500-600 quid on just a player spot in Eminence.
Yeah, so that's it's a very close one. That one.
I think Eminence, yeah.
I think it's a flip of a coin, but we'll go with Eminence. And then Merlin Chrome versus Mosaic Road to Qatar. I think Merlin Chrome is one of the best sets personally. Mosaic, I've got quite a few Granit Xhaka cards from that collection. They're so nice. I've got 2 8s, I've got 2 88, I've got Peacock. However, I think Merlin Chrome have the best parallels.
I agree with you. I think with Merlin Chrome, mistake me if I'm not wrong, but I think Merlin's the first set of, big set that came out in game that you could buy. So so that's obviously big. I remember me and you went to a game shop and bought a Blaster Reach, and I got an Alaba out of 15, which was quite cool. But I think Merlin, you know, is always goated. I think obviously Merlin 2020 is better, but it's not. I think, you know, it's not terrible this set, but I think it's a walk in the park for that. Compared to
flipping it back over to the other side bracket, we have Futera Unique World Football versus Donruss. I think we're both going to be in agreement. Donruss is going through on that one.
Yeah, I think Donruss. Yeah, you can't go wrong, really.
And now this is a big tie. This is worthy of a final. We've got Chronicles versus World Cup Prism. For me personally, it's such a tricky one. I'm going to say. I'm edging I've got, don't get me wrong, I've got a load of Chronicles cards. I've got a load of World Cup Prism cards. I am edging just towards World Cup Prism for the sole fact of when you look back in 4 years' time, it'd be more, in my eyes, it'd be more iconic, the cards from the World Cup Prism, especially the likes of the Messis who have won the competition, than a card in Chronicles. So I am just, by the finest margin, siding with World Cup Prism.
Yeah, I probably have to. I'm being honest, if it was any other year of Chronicles, I think Chronicles would win.
Yeah. If it was 1920 Chronicles, I think it wins the whole competition.
Yeah. I think obviously you got to look at the rookie class who's big in this set. I'll probably say Gavi's the biggest one.
Yeah.
I'll probably say Pino, when he was at his height, was big, not just being biased. Pardon?
Martinelli would have been one.
Exactly. Martinelli, I think there's 3. Well, I wouldn't class Pino in that at the moment, but at the time there was 3 big rookies. I think I'm trying to go for Chronicles, but I think World Cup's going to win because it's just a World Cup set.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong. But
I'm looking at some of these ties in the next round, and
they're horrible.
Big ties.
It's horrible.
Next up, we've got National Treasures Road to Qatar up against Impeccable, and I think this was one of the worst Impeccable years so far. And the National Treasures, there's some really nice cards in there.
I think National Treasures.
I've personally got I've got an on-card Timeless Talent, and I've also got base Granit Xhaka, which is really nice. I'm going to pick up some parallel, so I'm going to go. I think National Treasures does beat this year's Impeccable, but like we said with Chronicles, if it was an older Impeccable, it could have been a very different
100%. Yeah. It's just obviously based off of that year, but I think with National Treasure, I think some of the new cards, I think it has like a description. So I think it was Michael Owen, the description of him scoring against Argentina, I believe. Yeah. Or something like that, like stuff like that. I think that just boosts it up.
Memorable moments.
That's it. I remember. Yeah, I don't think Spain's got one, probably, but
I think
it's Rose.
I was going to say, there's so many in that.
I think if they had to pick one, it'll probably be Iniesta 2010 World Cup final. I think it have to be. But yeah,
funny thing is, he's going to look that up after this video, and he's really trying to buy it. So
yeah.
And the last one of this bracket before we move on is Topps Chrome Sapphire versus Stadium Club Chrome.
I still think I'm just thinking of like the cards you can get, like the rookie class. So you've got Pino, you've got Rodrigo, I believe. It's his first Topps Chrome. Camavinga, first Topps Chrome. You've got Gavi. I think, they're probably the biggest one. I think
Sapphire, personally, for the sole fact of it's at one of the sets that you chase for the big cards to get graded and worth the value. Whereas I'm looking at this one, I think the cards are very similar in terms of a lot of things like price point, grade. However, the resale market, I think, on Sapphire is greater than Stadium Club Chrome. And that's the only reason I'm going to go with Sapphire is on the market, when reselling the big cards, you'll get a bigger price the Sapphire than the Stadium Club Chrome.
It's just what puts me off is when they, obviously, as I said earlier in the video, is when they brought it out, people, were buying the boxes, couldn't even hit a numbered card, or you hit more numbered card than expected. And then like the resale value of the actual box, people didn't want to buy it because imagine you're spending about 250 to 300 quid.
Yeah.
And you're getting just base refractors. So yeah, I'll probably give you Topps Chrome on this one because you let me have a Stadium Club in the last round. But I think, Sapphire, I think it's beautiful anyway. I think you'd rather get a 25 Sapphire instead of a Stadium Club Chrome.
And now 25. We're on to the quarter-final stages. And the first matchup is Donruss, World to Qatar, against Prism World Cup. Oh, it's a tricky one because I really like the Donruss set of the optics and the lasers.
Like there this. We go. He's got so I think just this popping out, I don't think I've got a World Cup on me somewhere, but I don't think it's here. But looking at that Pedro, I think honestly, I think what beats it. I think if I'm just going to say two words, Black Velocity. I think that just edges it for me personally. I think I've got to go with Donruss.
However, I'm going to then you've brought your 49 to the table. I'm going to bring a gold prism to the table.
I've got that somewhere, but it's off-centered.
Oh. It's a tricky one.
How centered is that? How well centered is that?
It's actually very well centered.
Oh, okay. I just think the pink lasers, the orange lasers, the black velocity. I just think you can't go wrong. I think for a cheap price point.
If I had the question then for you, Pedri's in both sets, right? This is a tricky thing.
Would I rather have a Pedri a gold out of 10 or Pedri black velocity? Looks wise, I have black velocity. Looks wise. I would like some guy. I asked some guy about a Pedri, wanted to buy a black velocity. And I said to him, "Can I? What's the price?" And he said it's damaged. I was still tempted to buy it because it's just such a nice card. Black Velocity doesn't.
I would arguably say the most desirable card in the hobby is a gold prism.
Look at that. Does that not?
Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful card.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Donruss. However, Prism being the #1 card set in sports cards.
Yeah. I think it's just anyone. Obviously, anyone could buy a Prism Blaster, and obviously you could probably get a Tiger, Zebra, whatever. But I think you got to think about price points as well. Donruss, you can get a blaster box for how much? You can look at the cards you can get. Exactly, you've even got one. You've even got one, so you've experienced it. I think if we're just saying okay, Prism Donruss, I think Prism wins. If you're looking at overall price point. How easy to enter break, price-wise. Yeah.
It's like I say, when we get to the later stages, it's going to be very tight. And I think Donruss does just, I think by millimeters, is in front. Millimeters.
But I could probably say this is probably you got to think about the rookie class of the Prism set. So you've got obviously Julian Alvarez, Gavi. It's Pedri's first World Cup.
It's a lot of
Jude Bellingham,
Martinelli,
Rodrigo. Even Vinicius Junior's first. So I'm probably convinced of myself just because I'll let you have Prism on this one, just because This Ramos is staring at me and wanting to go PSA. I'm not too sure.
And then up next, we have National Treasures versus Sapphire. I'm edging towards National Treasures here for the sole fact of I don't think it was the best Sapphire we've had. I think.
Oh no way! It's not.
Whereas National Treasures, there's some really nice cards, and you got obviously the return. I know I keep saying on-card autos, but obviously after the pandemic, everything like that, we went without on-card autos for a very long time. There's just really nice card sets in it, timeless talents, memorable moments. You've got a lot of really nice stuff in there. And don't get me wrong, Sapphire, beautiful set, but I think National Treasure just edges me for the more premium cards. And if I was looking at a showcase at the London Card Show or another card show, I would naturally go to the National Treasure before it would go to the Sapphire.
Unless it's a 1-on-1.
Oh yeah, but
but
then if I said then there's a 1-of-1 Messi National Treasures in there auto,
I'm like, what the hell is it doing in there? It should be a PWC or Golden. Should be on Soul's Vault. But I think if I had to pick, I think Sapphire this year was all right. It just looks wise of the cards. I think obviously Rodrigo, Camavinga, Gavi, Pino. You've got some other ones that are probably doing decent at the moment that I don't know about. But I think, I'll probably go for National Treasures just because that on my mind. You know, when you open a box, you don't know what you're going to get, obviously, but numbered wise, are you going to get numbered or not? I mean, I just,
Funny enough, that's actually ran to the quarterfinals now. I've got it around all the way around before. But moving on to the next one, Merlin Chrome versus Eminence. And I think, sadly, this is where Eminence falls because I think Merlin Chrome is one of the best sets in cards in general. For me, it's up there for me, top 3 of all sets in general, Merlin Chrome, for affordability, looks-wise, cards-wise, cards of actually what you can chase and fin it. And obviously now being a retail product within the UK does go a bit more. So for me, Merlin Chrome does beat Eminence. But as we said before, Eminence is still a fantastic.
I think as well, Merlin made resellers of shoes, jumpers and all that. But is it Hype Beast or something this week?
Yeah.
They made them go into game shops to buy Merlin. I remember when me and Ronnie went to the game shop, we saw like people with Asda carrier bags.
Yeah.
And I was getting me and Ronnie would get a bit pissed off, like if we would get one or not. But I think Merlin has to, just because it's still getting broke. It's still getting breakers are still opening them today. Yeah. It's been how long? And then Eminence, people are holding the boxes and cases more than opening them, which is obviously a bit annoying. But I think Merlin has to go through just for all round affordability, looks wise. I think obviously Eminence wins it for that, obviously value.
Yeah.
Some of the cards you get, but most 99% of the people watching it probably can't afford a case or a box of Eminence.
And the last one and the last quarterfinal spot left to be filled, we have Topps Women's Chrome versus Inception. And everyone knows how I'm going to stand on this one. Women's Chrome does, for me, progress. First product as well does go a long way for value and everything like that. So 85% of all cards in the set were actually rookies as well, which was incredible to collect. But for me, Women's Chrome, hands down.
I think Women's Chrome as well. I think if it was up against, say, somewhere else in the table, so say, for example, like Chronicles, it'll be a harder battle. But I think Inception compared to Women's Chrome it's not really a battle, to be honest.
So we now have the quarterfinal, even the semi-final.
This is going to be hard,
What is unbelievable here, we've got 2 Panini products on one side against 2 Topps products on the other side.
So
I didn't notice that. A Panini versus Topps final.
Yeah.
Which is a battle for the ages. So we're starting with the side of Panini and both World Cup products. We have Panini World Cup Qatar Prism against National Treasures. Oh, it's a tricky one.
I've probably made up my mind already when I saw the lineup. I think Prism. I think Prism against Chronicles, that was harder. But I think against National Treasures, I don't think it stands a chance. I think Prism goes through on this one. I don't think there's no debate on it.
I feel both have cards that everyone wants to collect. I think there's no doubt about that.
Most of the set, yeah. Most of these sets, yeah.
It's a very tricky one because, like you said, you've got the bigger autos in both sets. This is where some people prefer the thicker card stock, some prefer the normal card stock. Obviously, it's more of a matte finish with the the National Treasures in comparison to Prism. It's more of a glossy one. Oh, it's a tricky one.
I'll probably go for. I'm still bagging on Prism. I think,
depending what is in my grading pile at the moment, which there is a few World Cup Prism cards.
Yeah,
I'm going to just side with World Cup Prism, but it was very close, and National Treasures was a fantastic set.
Yeah, so I think so we've got one finalist.
I know this one is gonna. This is.
I think
interesting.
I made my mind up.
I feel like we're gonna be on separate sides of this one. I really
Merlin all the way.
For you, Merlin. For me,
because I think it's just. So imagine going on your story on Instagram or going on Facebook or Twitter and seeing your mates or people that you watch on YouTube or people that you see collect, and going to a game shop and saying, "Oh, what are you here for?" And you say Merlin, and it just creates a little bond. Maybe you shout your Instagram. I think it's just a bonding as well of Merlin. Like everyone going to a game shop, everyone saying on Instagram, "Oh, look, don't go to this game shop because it doesn't have any." I remember the tense moments, but I think Women's Chrome very good, underrated. I still think it's one of the most underrated set available, but I think just Merlin grabs it. They're still getting break today.
Oh, so this is where it's going to be interesting who goes through because we are both sitting on the other side of the fence. For me, the maiden set of Women's Chrome was a fantastic release and a very short run set as well.
Yeah.
Short print set of most boxes you'd get 2 to 3 numbered, sometimes 4 numbered, and you got 1 to 2 autos per box as well. Like I said before, you got all the autos as well. Oh.
Honestly, if Arsenal was in Merlin would win this.
I think Women's Chrome still, personally. Even if there was a Granite Xhaka Merlin, which everyone knows I'm fascinated with the fella, and that is my PC. I think for the reasons of it was the first set of Women's Chrome, so it is a legendary set. You've got the actual hit rates in it are very good. The sheer quantity of rookies within the set. If this was the first year of Merlin, 2019-20,
it would win.
Hands down Merlin.
It would win the whole thing.
However, I'm going to side with Women's Chrome for the sole fact of it was the first set, so it's going to hold the value. It's you've got some of the best players of all time in the women's game. Obviously, most of them is their first cards. Obviously, they've had stickers before, but very little amount have had actual cards. The only one before that was a women's knockout the year before, but it was not really a desirable set. And the autos in this set, you've probably got 5 of the top 10 players in the world who have got autos in this set. Oh, it's good.
I just think, well, I might be wrong, but if you put a little poll and survey out saying what one would you rather have,
but I think that's down. I think it's down to. I think that is different because if you look at the sheer quantity of women's collectors to men's collectors, you're always going to get a more of a
100%,
conscious bias towards the men's game than the women's game.
Yeah, I think with Merlin as well. I think being a West Ham fan, I've got some West Ham cards in there, which obviously is nice. But I think, Merlin takes this one. As much as I love, Chrome, and I tried to pick up a few women's cards as well. I think I was at the card show. I tried to pick up a Beth Mead at 25. I remember telling you, picked up a few. I remember buying. I think I bought you one as well. I think it was like a little
lot of Wogan-Moore. Pink Prism to 150.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. They are nice cards. Don't get me wrong. Chrome, beautiful, but I just think Merlin takes it. And as well, it's got your favourite player on the box, Harry Kane.
Well, if he's on the front, we know it's not going to win. So, see, I'm putting it on the record so everyone can hear this. For me, the winner is Women's Chrome, but I do respect the guest wishes on the show, and Merlin will be going through to the final because of that. However, my winner is Women's Chrome.
I just think, as I said at the start, would you ever go to game? Oh God, yeah, don't want to go back. But would you ever go to game and go to get, impeccable Women's Champions League Topps Chrome. You wouldn't. This is the first time.
If they had,
they would.
If they had Women's Champions League glasses, then you would.
Oh, everyone went to shops to get score. I think if it's any set, we will go. But I think this is obviously the first set being released in the game shop, in a shop. Well, obviously in normal shops, but in a game shop, I think this has to go through.
And now it's the big final. So this is going to crown who was the best set of last year. And it features Merlin Chrome up against Prism World Cup. And I think it could be similar to the last round. That I know you're a massive fan of Merlin Chrome, but what it done for the hobby and bring new people into the hobby in America, especially historically World Cup Prism. You look at 2014, for example, the matchups. 2018, the Mbappe's. 2022, it could be the Messi's and other players.
Julian Alvarez.
It's iconic. The World Cup Prisms are iconic card sets. Don't get me wrong, Merlin is great, but that is a yearly product. So this one comes out every 4 years at an iconic moment of such a World Cup. For me, I'm going to vote. My vote is going for World Cup 2022 Prism as the best set of 2022.
I can agree with that. Obviously, I think next World Cup is obviously in America. That'll be an even bigger one, I think. But 100%. Like watching YouTubers, like I think it was Mojo Sports, massive YouTuber in the States, about obviously collecting soccer, obviously mostly baseball, basketball, American football cards, but he even started to buy World Cup Prism. So it was showing, more people. I think people that has no interest in football, football, but soccer in America, they would start watching football games. They really would. But even though they have no interest, but they'll buy the cards. Obviously, I think a big thing. I know it's obviously not that set; it's a different set, but World Cup stickers. The first time they had, was it parallels? Yeah, I was going to say numbered, but parallels. So I think the World Cup whole in general, and I think this what tops it for me. Messi won the World Cup. Well, Argentina did, but I think in general, Messi won the World Cup. I think I have to agree with you on that one. I think World Cup Prism does edge it, just because I think everything altogether what happened.
So there we have it. I think, like I say, there was a lot of very hard battles in there. There were some sets that went out early that they were just unlucky with their matchups. But we have voted Prism 2022 World Cup Qatar the best set of 2022. It's one of them that a lot of people will disagree, some will agree, and I think that's the greatest thing about cards is that everyone sees them differently. There's even some sets that didn't make the list because it was truly random. There was sets like Immaculate. The beginning of Project 22, you had some top snails that could have made the list. However, these were the random ones that we got dealt with, and it was purely random ties, and I think it actually led to some great battles. But congratulations to Prism World Cup 2022 for winning the card set. And like we say, we'd love to hear what your feedback is in the comments below. What card set you actually think was the best? And most importantly, please do check out in the bio the link to Jason El Toro Cards' channel. Go check him out because he's got some really great stuff over there.
Yeah, thank you.
Until next time, my friend, when we will have something similar. Thank you for joining us. But most importantly, Women's Chrome does need more respect from you. But until next time, hope everyone out there is staying safe. And most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.